Welcome! Today we're diving into two of SailPoint's secret weapons, tools that are super powerful but honestly pretty easy to mix up. We're talking about the manager correlation rule and the transform rule. If you've ever found yourself wrestling with messy identity data, this explainer is definitely for you. So let's start with a question we've all asked ourselves. Why is identity data never simple? The standard systems, they look great on paper, but in the real world, data is messy. It's inconsistent, it's complicated, and it almost never fits neatly into those perfect little boxes. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why we even need custom rules. Then, we're going to solve a classic manager puzzle. After that, we'll tackle cleaning up messy data. We'll put the two rules head to head to see which one's right for the job, and we'll wrap it all up by adding them to your identity data toolkit. Okay, let's get into the power of custom rules. Look, any standard identity platform gives you a really solid foundation to build on. But to handle your company's unique, sometimes quirky data challenges, you've got to be able to go off-road. And that's where custom logic comes in. That's what rules are all about. You can think of them as these little snippets of code that let you inject your specific business logic right into the middle of the identity management process. They're how you handle all those one-off exceptions and weird complexities with total precision. All right, let's tackle our first challenge, solving the manager puzzle. This is probably one of the most common problems out there, just trying to correctly link an employee to their manager. It sounds so simple, right? But, well, you're about to see why it's usually anything but. You've probably seen this happen. The system sees multiple accounts for one person, maybe an active one and an old inactive one, and it just gets confused about which one has the right manager. Or somebody moves from being a consultant to a full-time employee, and suddenly the source for their manager's info is totally different. This is exactly how you end up with the classic manager mix-up. So the solution to this puzzle is the manager correlation rule. This is a highly specialized tool. It's designed to do one job and one job only. Figure out the manager relationship by letting you spell out the exact logic for finding the right person. The best way to think of it is as a relationship detective. And this is so important. Its only job is to investigate. It follows the clues you give it to find the correct manager identity. It doesn't change data, it doesn't format anything, it just finds the right link in the org chart chain. So how does this detective work exactly? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. First, the rule looks at the incoming account data. Then, it pulls out a specific clue, like the manager's email address. And finally, it tells SailPoint, hey, go find the one person whose email matches this value. Simple, elegant, and super effective. All right, let's switch gears and look at a totally different kind of problem, cleaning up your data. In this scenario, all your connections are correct, but the data itself, it's just a complete mess. Oh man, I'm sure we've all seen this. You get names coming in as all caps or all lowercase, maybe a weird mix of both. It's a classic headache when you're pulling data together, and frankly, it just makes everything look unprofessional, and it's a pain to use in things like reports and approvals. To fix this, we need a different tool from our toolkit, the transform rule. You can think of this one as your universal data cleaner. Its whole purpose is to modify an attribute's value, to clean it, format it, or standardize it before it even gets saved into the system. So if our last rule was a relationship detective, this one is a data sculptor. See the difference? Its purpose is totally different. It doesn't find relationships. It takes that raw, messy data and actually changes the value, shaping it into something clean, consistent, and usable. And wow, this slide just shows you its power perfectly. On the left, you've got that messy, inconsistent data straight from the source. And on the right, that's the clean, professional-looking result after the transform rule works its magic. I mean, it is a night and day difference. So, how does it do it? Well, the rule is pretty smart. It applies logic in layers. First, it does a basic capitalization pass that catches most simple names. Then, it gets more specific, handling special cases like names with Mick or Mac. And finally, it layers on exceptions for things like Vaughn or suffixes like IV, making sure every name comes out looking perfect. Okay, so now we have two really powerful rules in our arsenal, but the real key to success is knowing exactly which one to grab for the job at hand. This table just breaks it down perfectly. The manager correlation rule's goal is to find an identity. Its job is linkage. The transform rule's goal is to modify a value. Its job is formatting. It's the manager connector versus the data sculptor.
And you have to use the right one because you can't ask a detective to sculpt a statue.
All right, let's wrap this up and get these tools properly organized in your Identity Data Toolkit.
If you take away one thing, let it be this. You have to diagnose your problem first. Just ask yourself one simple question. Am I trying to find a link between two things, or am I trying to fix the value of the data itself? Your answer to that question will point you to the right tool every single time. I love this quote because it really captures the spirit of what we're talking about. Standard tools give you a foundation. Custom rules let you build a skyscraper. The out-of-the-box configuration is just your starting point. These rules are what lets you build a truly sophisticated, custom-tailored identity solution. So now you know how to find relationships like a detective and how to sculpt data like an artist. The only question left is, what data challenge are you going to solve first?